Hey, welcome to Monsters Lounge, everybody. I'm Jeni.
I'm Tressa. Thank you.
You're welcome. I actually gave you time to introduce yourself tonight.
Oh, I meant for welcoming me.
Oh, hey, welcome. Then you're
Thank
you're
you.
welcome
Thank
to
you.
hear this place.
The lounge. Hmm?
Probably surprising no one who listens to us on a regular basis. Ghosts and hauntings. I don't know much about at all. It's never kind of been my special interest in the paranormal field. But I love talking to people about it because there's so many different interesting theories and so many different interesting connections. And, everybody has their own experiences, right? That's one of the best things about this show is we get to hear all of these different ideas and theories and experiences and beliefs.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Are you talking to me or just monologuing?
Well, I'm just kind of monologuing
Okay,
at
go
this
ahead.
point, but I could be talking to you. So
All right. I'll
no,
interject.
no, no. Participate, please.
Okay.
Anyway, before it was really
Oh, I'm so
interrupted.
sorry. I'm so sorry.
So, Tressa, this is the part where you come in to the
Oh,
conversation,
I,
and I say, tonight's guest is going to be amazing to talk to because he does have some interesting theories that like I haven't heard before.
hmm.
And I might end up asking some really, really basic questions that will bore him completely, but what do you got to do?
Listen, that's what we do.
I know. That's we bore people.
No, Jenny, we
Oh,
educate.
educate, right? Education.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And I do have to say that this episode is going to start off with a little bit. I might get a little sad. We're going to be talking about some pet hauntings, which for some reason are a little bit more sad to me than people hauntings. I'm not quite. That
I
might say
mean,
something about me as a person, but
well, it's the thing where you don't want to see the dog die in the movie. That's
right.
more cutting than if a person were to die. And you see people all the time. Who cares?
Which, by the way, let me mention one of my favorite websites, which is
Oh,
called
God.
Does the Dog Die? And
Oh,
you can go and you can look up any movie, and it'll just tell you yes or no.
that's fantastic. I
I
thought you were
know.
going to say something about a supercut of dogs dying in movies, but this is
No.
much
Oh
better.
my gosh.
I know. I was
No.
shocked.
I'm
Why would
shocked
you
that you
do
would think.
that?
Why would you think that of me?
I don't know.
Are we having our first fight?
Yes,
I
I'm
think
not
so.
happy.
I know, but we're going to learn about some topics tonight, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Maybe a little sad, but also a lot of fun because we have Rob Gutro on.
Oh, should we
Yeah.
bring him on? Oh, go
Well,
ahead.
let me tell you a
Okay,
little bit about him first.
go ahead. You do your thing.
So he's an author, a paranormal investigator, and a medium with inspired ghost tracking of Maryland. Since he was a child, he could receive messages from ghosts or spirits who have crossed over. As a scientist, here's that science part, he also provides some scientific explanation about how energy is the baseline for the afterlife and the medium that entities use to communicate. Here's the sad part. In 2005, Rob's late puppy passed and inspired him to write his first book and enabled him to communicate with pets, which is a cool story. Rob participates in private paranormal investigations, helps ghosts cross over, and has provided countless messages from people or pets as ghosts or spirits. He also lives in a haunted house, which is kind of, I bet he gets talked to quite frequently. But help me welcome Rob, please.
Oh, okay.
Hello.
Hi, Rob.
Hi, Jeni and Tressa. Thanks for having me tonight.
Oh,
Thanks
thank you
for
for coming
joining
on.
us.
We're
Sure.
always amazed when people talk to us. I mean, dude,
No,
people talk to us all the time. It's great.
no, the first statement was accurate.
Okay, that's totally fair. So, Rob, you are a meteorologist, which
Yes.
first of all is fascinating, but you tie that into your paranormal, let's say your paranormal activities, but that's also kind of accurate. Can you explain that how that sort of ties in and your thoughts as it relates to ghosts and spirits?
Sure. Gosh, there's a lot to it. So basically, I use the science of energy to explain how things work in the paranormal and what happens after we die, how we make a choice to stay earthbound as what I call a ghost or cross over into the light, what I call a spirit. They're the same entity, it's just different locations and a different choice. So I can explain the different energies, there's physical energies and emotional energies that both draw on, and there's a similarity and a difference. Um, and I also use the science of energy to explain things like cold spots and why a ghost can't cross over after being stuck for a while. So those are some of the
Oh,
things that I explain.
I've never heard that ghosts can't cross over after a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah,
Can
what
you
is that?
expand on that a little bit?
Sure. So I found that after we die, the physical energies within us, coupled with our memories and our personality, and the knowledge of this life we live, at that life review, we decide right there if we're going to cross over into paradise or heaven or Valhalla, whatever you want to call the other side, or we decide if we're afraid to cross over, as some people are, because of things they did in life and they shouldn't be. They choose to stay earthbound as a ghost in a fixed location that they're familiar with or where they died, like hospitals, prisons, battlefields, etc. Um, Earthbound ghosts, after a time, we don't know how long, can't seem to cross over. They can see the passage of time in the physical because things change around them. So they know time is changing, although time is not a thing where they are. Um, so because they can't cross over, they need help. And that's where paranormal investigators come in. So the reason they can't cross over is I've come to understand that they're like a battery. When we first die, we have a lot of energy with us, a
Hmm.
lot of energy that comes out of us with our memories and personality. Over time, like a battery, that energy wanes, and when it gets below a certain threshold, they don't have the enough energy to open the doorway to cross over and become a spirit.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay, I have
So,
a follow-up question.
yeah.
I feel like we don't see past a certain era of ghosts, or we don't hear, but like I'm coming from no knowledge, but we don't see ghosts from like Neanderthal times.
Mhm.
Where are those ghosts? Do they not have the knowledge of what we have perceived of what the afterlife would be like? They don't have religion on them, so they don't have the fear of that, so they just automatically passed over.
Mhm.
Or I'm just working through this in my head
Oh.
right now.
No,
No, that makes sense.
yeah, you've really hit upon it. So I found that most of the people that stay behind earthbound as a ghost are
Mm,
those who are most devout to religions.
mm,
Because religions teach us that part of the other side is a horrible, terrible place.
right.
Now, those people who don't believe in religions just automatically cross over.
Wow.
Because they're not
That's
concerned about the judgment and they're not concerned about there's less fear, which would make sense. Oh,
that's
And
so terrifying to
Neanderthals.
think about that you've been ingrained this thought that
mhm,
might be bad on the other side. Oh,
and to further to that point is that 99.5% of all pets cross over. Why?
yeah.
Because pets can sense a good thing. They can sense good energy, good people,
Yeah.
love, faith, hope, all of those good things. And people, however, have too many hangups. So we have too many doubts. We could be pessimistic. Animals don't have that issue. And I've only met 4 ghost animals who stayed behind all because they loved their pet parent and waited for their pet parent to pass.
Hmm.
So
All
so
right.
that's why there's no Neanderthal ghosts.
First of all, I love the fact that you've just confirmed to me that all dogs go to heaven. I mean, I watched the movie. I really wanted to
Right.
believe it. Now I
We
feel
were
good
all
about
told
it.
that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Sure. So
Oh,
what's
Jeni.
yeah, I know. Anyway, um, so All right. So ghosts then need a certain amount of energy.
Hmm.
Now, is that, and you mentioned cold spots.
Hmm.
So is that part of that? Do they suck like energy or warmth or something out of a space?
That's actually what they do. So, so fast-moving molecules of air are warm air. You'll find those in the tropics. Slower-moving molecules of air are cooler air, like in the Arctic. So, what I've come to understand is that when a ghost, an earthbound ghost, or a spirit who's crossed over and visiting, wants to get strong enough to communicate with you, what they do is they absorb the motion of air molecules. They absorb that energy and they slow them down. And that creates a cold spot where they're trying to come together.
Oh, wow. Okay, there's a couple of different things in there. So one of the most relieving things to me is we were talking to someone a few months back, and they mentioned that spirits can cross back over to say hi, which I don't know why that's so relieving to me, but it is. But I love that explanation of the energy and the cold spots, because we've also talked to people who specifically talk about ghosts communicating via manipulating the energy of like sound waves.
Well, I mean, certainly they could, if they're strong enough with the energy they've absorbed, they could become audible.
Wow.
That's why you'll hear some earthbound ghosts being audible. But it's all about energy. So think of a ghost, an earthbound ghost, as as a battery. And earthbound ghosts, like spirits who've crossed over, they both use physical energies like heat, light, water, and electricity. Those things empower a ghost. So that's why they drain batteries, for instance. Um, they can use running water. Like most towns that I've found that have the most hauntings are by rivers, streams, or oceans.
Right. I feel like there's a lot of talk
Mm-hmm.
about water being a conducer. Mm, uh,
Conduit.
thank you. Conduit for spirit,
Energy.
ghosts, whatever. Energy. Yeah. Like anytime you hear of something being very active, there's always some water source around.
So think of it this way too. So, I'm going to throw in a weather thing.
Please.
Yay.
When if you're swimming in a pool and there's a thunderstorm around, you're told to get out of that pool
Right.
because if a
Right.
bolt of lightning strikes that pool, everybody in it will be electrocuted. Water will conduct electricity.
I never thought about it like that.
So,
That makes
so
perfect
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
to me, it's all about energy and how
Yeah.
energy works. Um, so the difference, although ghosts and spirits can both use those physical energies that I described, there's a difference. The difference is that spirits who've crossed over, like our grandparents, they use the love we share for them, faith and hope. Those are positive emotional energies that enable them to get strong enough to come back and visit. Drop us a penny, send us a feather, show us a repeating number, something like that. Ghosts, on the other hand, they don't use those emotions to get strong enough. Instead, they use negative emotions. And that's, I mean, fear, anxiety, depression, and anger. So if someone lives in a house with ghosts and suffers from depression or anxiety, they're fueling that ghost to get strong enough to communicate. In turn, they emit negative energy. It's not a reflection on the ghost personality. They could be a happy ghost, but they emit negative emotional energy. So people who have hauntings, a ghost in their house, they may find themselves more short-tempered or more anxious or more depressed. So it's a vicious cycle if you have a ghost in your house.
Okay. So you got a little foggy there just for a second, a
Yeah, no, I
little
was gonna
mumbled.
say, real quick, Jenny, I gotta interrupt you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
There have been at least two times on the Paranormal 60 News when we've talked about ghosts and spirits where the sound just gets warbled and weird and messed up. And that's just what happened when you were trying to explain everything.
Yeah.
And I could kind of hear it was happening, but a lot of what you had just said was just really muffled. And I don't think it was any of your equipment. I'm not saying
No.
that.
It was definitely the part where we were talking about spirits sort of gathering energy from like the more positive emotions and the loving. And that's sort of what they then, that's what you feel more because they sort of admit that, whereas ghosts is a little bit more negative. Did I just
Yeah.
get really warbled too to
No,
everybody?
no, you were fine.
Ah.
Sorry. They don't care about you, Jeni.
No, they really don't. No.
So if you know a house is haunted, you would likely feel anxious to go in it. And when you do, when you enter, you're actually providing emotional energy for that ghost to get strong enough to communicate with you.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So how does this work in with like electronic devices trying to find evidence like an EVP type thing?
So ghosts will use any kind of energy in order to communicate either audibly, physically, visibly, any kind of way they will think of, but they have to have enough energy to do it. And one thing that I found that's interesting is that ghosts will communicate and spirits will communicate at a different frequency that we cannot hear, which is why as a paranormal investigator, we use digital recorders, we ask a question, don't hear the answer, but when we play it back, sometimes we hear it.
Absolutely.
By the way, as pet parents, dogs and cats have a different physiology than humans. They can hear ghosts and spirits. Think of a dog whistle. We can't hear a dog whistle,
Right.
but they can. They can also see ghosts and spirits because they have different cones and rods in their eyes that enable them to see faster movement. And we use high-speed cameras in paranormal investigating to capture those images.
I had never made that connection. There's a fantastic book about dog senses. I think that's literally called The Sense of a Dog. And as you were talking, yes, cats and dogs, they see more frames per second than we do. And wow, yeah. So that explains why my cat stares at doorways or things like that. But
Which is why TV is not really of interest to a lot of animals because it looks like lines.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
especially the older ones.
Yeah, the older ones. Yeah.
We're going to get deeper into all the pet weird paranormal stuff once they pass and before, but we're going to go to a break first. Thank you.
Are you troubled by strange noises in the middle of the night? Do you experience feelings of dread in your basement or attic? Have you or your family ever seen a spook, spectre, or ghost? Then Haunted Magazine issue 41 might just be for you. In issue 41 we have The Enfield Haunting, an interview with Dave Schrader, Danny Robbins, and lots more. Out now in stores, app stores, and online at bit.ly/Haunted Magazine. Remember, don't be normal, be paranormal.
all right. So welcome back after that break. That's not actually, I think, what I was going to say, but we'll move it along. So we were talking about you have the ability to communicate with the spirits and ghosts of pets. How is that different for you than communicating with people, ghosts and spirits?
Well, it's always telepathic. So pets will actually show me images, and then they will convey emotions and feelings. One of the abilities that I have is that people and pets will convey the way they passed as a way to prove their identities. So yeah, that can get really scary with some paranormal investigations. But in terms of pets, I felt heart issues and cancer and tumors and kidney failure and all kinds of things. So, and it's worse with humans, as you can imagine. Um, so that's one of the ways that they convey things. But they convey things about places that they enjoy, different things in their life. Whether they like sitting in a certain spot, a favorite toy. There was one particular dog that I read that kept telling me about his favorite yellow duck, and it was a squeaky. And when I did the reading, I do readings by email on weekends, and the mom wrote me back and she said my my boyfriend didn't believe anything about paranormal, and then he read your reading, and here's a picture of my dog's favorite yellow squeaky duck in his bed. So
Oh,
I made him a believer. So yeah, so they'll send all kinds of images to me.
So what does that look like? Do you get information and go sort of searching for the spirit of the pet? Or does it just kind of come to you when you contact, like when you have contact with the owners or families?
So what I do is I set it up this way. So I have people email me, and I keep a schedule. So I'm booked 1.5 years out right now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I need to retire from my.
Yeah, you do. You need more free time.
Yeah, we're gonna need you to be more on those pet things.
So what I ask for them to do is they send me the pet photo and the pet name and any questions they may have. They don't have to ask me questions that they already know the answer to, because there's no need for that. But it's amazing what pets will come through with. So what I typically do before I even read the questions is I do kind of a data dump from the pet, because they're all very excited. It's like when you come home, your dog's really, really excited.
Yeah.
And they want to share all kinds of things. I did a reading for a dog the other night, and he was telling me about how would you love to be out in the car? And then suddenly he said, ice cream, ice cream, ice cream.
I mean, same.
And I'm like, okay. So, I'm typing this, and then I go back and I said, okay, can we go back to the car thing? But that's the way it is. It's like squirrel. Suddenly they're off on something else.
I bet you hear about so many squirrels.
Yeah, well, pets can also convey really much deeper things. So in my Pets in the Afterlife series of books, and I just published Pets in the Afterlife 4 recently, and that one's devoted only to messages from cats. And so the 3 is dogs, 1 and 2 are all domesticated animals. So in Pets in the Afterlife 4, a woman named Ingrid had written me about her cat Buddy, who passed away. And this really blew my mind, because this cat, Buddy, came through and he was stressing a word I never heard. And he spelled it out for me, M-A-L-A, with the help of a human spirit. And I didn't know what it meant. And I thought, okay, mal means bad in Spanish. I don't know what mala means. So I sent the reading to Ingrid, and I thought she's going to just say, this is ridiculous. But she didn't. She wrote back and she said, the one thing that really blew my mind was the word mala, because only 2 living things know what that word means.
Oh.
Me and Buddy.
Oh.
She said, every morning I open my bedroom door and I invite Buddy into my bedroom. And we sit at the end of my bed and we do a meditation called the Mala meditation.
No. All right, now I'm tearing up.
Oh, come on.
Oh.
And there was a dog that gave me an amazing sign that made no sense to me, or the pet parent for that matter, for the first 8 months. It was a black lab, and the gentleman wrote and said, black lab passed, wanted to know a couple things. And the black lab kept telling me the number 516. And I was like, all right, I don't, maybe that's a date. Maybe that's May 16th, or I have no idea what it is. So the dog was very adamant about it. And I put in the reading, and the gentleman wrote me back and he said, thank you for the reading. I have no idea what 516 is. And I said, well, think about it. 8 months later, he wrote me back and he said, "You may not remember me, but I'm the guy with the black lab who couldn't figure out what 516 was." And he said, "Well, I just figured it out. I think I figured it out." He said, "I'm a doctor." And he said, I was in the office with a patient of mine who suffered from a collapsed lung. And he said, as I was sitting there, I'm writing down collapsed lung, code 516.
Yep.
My dog passed from a collapsed lung.
Yep. There it is.
Oh.
Only, so of course he gets help from a human spirit, the dog,
Yeah.
to convey this to me. But, so it took 8 months for him to figure out what that meant. So my point is that sometimes when I do these readings, people may not get everything immediately, but don't discount it because you may figure it out later.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's true of anything for me.
Yeah. That's a valid point.
Yeah, you're an idiot, Tressa. I know. I know.
Whatever.
Thank you.
I didn't say it out loud. Is the
No, but I
important
heard
part.
you.
But our pets take in a lot more than we think they do. There was a scientific study last summer by a university, and I can't remember which one it was, that said that cats are really much more observant than we think they are. And they learn words that we don't even try to teach them. And dogs are the same way.
I like that cats just fully ignore it anyway.
Oh, yeah,
They're like,
no.
thank you.
Anyone
I don't
who has
care.
ever had a cat totally believes
Yeah.
that, yeah, absolutely, they're learning it and dismissing it right away.
I know you know what I'm saying, and you do not care. Okay, I get it that you're a cat. That's fine.
Yep. I'm wondering what sort of secret words my cat would have for me today. I feel like a lot of them would be just a lot of attitude.
Well, I will tell you that cats are definitely not secretly planning our demise, like the joke goes.
It's pretty.
Thank God.
Well, it's pretty
I
out there,
was
isn't
worried.
it? I mean,
Yeah.
does your cat stare at you and do this? Because mine does. There's no secrets.
Yeah. They know how to keep us in our place. It's fine.
Yeah. How do you stay centered with all of those stories? I mean, we've talked to quite a few mediums, and that's always something that I wonder, because for me, in that scenario there, I used to work helping people, and still do, and sometimes even that, like the flesh and blood people, like you've got to go, okay, I need some recharging time, for want of a better word. But how do you negotiate that?
So I only do readings on the weekends, and I definitely I feel emotionally drained after I do one, because it takes about an hour to do one, just from a pet. You wouldn't think a dog or cat would have a lot to say, but gosh, it's a good thing I'm a fast typist, because it's kind of crazy. And I do them by email because people want to read them over and over again, and I understand that. As a dog dad, I get it, but I have to be honest with you that when I'm doing some of these, the love that I feel from some of these animals is so overwhelming. I will sit here in my office with the lights out doing readings, and I will be bawling my eyes out.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a lot to handle.
It is.
It's tough.
Yeah. I don't think I could handle more than one of those a week. That's impressive.
Especially
if
from those
nothing
else. From those sweet
babies.
like bundles of love.
Right?
Just, whew.
Yeah, when I sometimes I'll be reading a larger dog, and they may tell me about a back rub or give me a neck hug, and I'll have to get up, and I will actually give a neck hug to one of my dogs.
100%. How could you not?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But so one of the questions that I get a lot is that people feel badly if they're not there when their pet passes. There are a couple of things. Number one, they feel guilty if they help their pet cross over. And they need to know that their pet understands when it's their time. And they also give them signs, like they separate themselves, they stop eating, they become antisocial. So those are signs to us from their pets. And they know that we are stressed to make that decision, but they appreciate it. And they're always happy that we get it, because that means we've learned the lesson of unconditional love, that they are here to teach us. And sometimes my dog Sprite, on the way to the vet in 2013, the night before, a tumor had burst in his nose, and I took him to the ER. We spent 5 hours in the ER, and then they let me bring him home with the promise that I would help him pass over later that day. And I did. I wanted him to say goodbye to our other dogs.
Yeah.
He had not eaten in days. On the way to the vet, I took his favorite treat, and he ate the entire thing. And that made me feel guilty and questioning myself.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But afterward, he came through to me and he said, "Dad, I was so happy that you understood that I needed to go. That's why I did it." So if your pet passes when you're not there, they don't want you to feel guilty for that either, because they choose to pass on their own, so that that's not the last thing you see of them, because they know you'll never get that out of your mind. Instead, they want you to remember them as happy and active. And that's why they will choose to pass on their own when you're not around. So sorry to bring
Yeah,
you
no, I
down.
was clearly not ready for this episode. Thank you, both of you. Trying to keep it together.
I did warn you. I'm
Yeah,
full
but
on
you say a
tearing
lot
up.
of things. You warned me about a lot of things.
Listen. Listen to me. If I can make it through this with two of my boys last
Listen.
year, then
Okay.
we're doing okay. Because I'm not
Listen,
openly sobbing.
Do you want to make this a competition? Because yes, me
Are we?
also. Well,
are we gonna
because...
make a competition out of our
Yeah.
grief?
Yeah, let's do it. That's healthy.
That is
Sponsored
not
by
helping.
Kleenex tissues.
Who goes through more?
Yeah, I know.
I love
Hey,
that,
I get
and I love that, and thank you for saying that, because I'm sure
Yes.
I know I've felt guilt.
It's
for
so
being
hard.
there and
You know
making
it's
that
the best
choice.
thing, but you don't want to do it because they're still there. They're still trying, or at least it appears, and you don't want to do it, but you know it's the best thing. But it's so hard.
It's impossible.
So and I've also read psychological studies about why it's so difficult, and that is because we raise our pets like we'd raise a human child, really.
Yeah.
And we look at them as such. We look at them as human children. And human nature is that we should never outlive our children. But dogs and cats only have 15 years on average, and we have to prepare ourselves for that. So people who have lost pets have reported feeling much more emotional grief than losing a human loved one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
And
for
I
sure.
can tell you that when my dog Dolly passed, she was a Weimaraner. She was the one I adopted after Buzz. She was my heart dog. She died in 2020 in October. I was devastated. I didn't want to talk to anybody. Even as a medium, I can't handle like physical death.
Yeah.
I can talk to him on the other side, but I don't.
Yeah, no, not right now
No,
in my face. No.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's the worst.
But I will say that Dolly, being my heart dog, she is amazing, because she used to know what I thought, and I used to know what she thought. And ever since she died, and this is very unusual for a spirit to do this, she has sent me repeating numbers every single day for
Every
3.5 years.
Oh my God,
Every
that's
day.
amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
I know. I really hope that's lottery numbers. Like, I know it's going to be something like very sweet or something, but I'm really pulling for the lottery. Like, just really want you to win the lotto.
Jenny's really good about the lotto, so you should probably play those numbers, whatever they
Yeah,
are.
yeah,
Even if
if-
they're just the same ones.
Listen, guys, if you're around right now, bring it. You got a lot of treats and a lot of toys, okay?
There you go.
Just saying.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry I interrupted you. They're repeating numbers every day.
Yeah, so they're known as angel numbers, and they all
Yeah.
have different meanings. But with
Tressa
with
just
Dom-
told me what those were.
Yeah, no, I was just telling Jenny a couple days ago that I'm seeing them like crazy and really into them lately. And I've known about them for years and years, but lately they're really resonating with me. And Jenny's like, I have no idea what you're
I don't
talking
know
about.
what you're talking about, so I'm so excited right now.
Yeah.
So who passed around this time? Tressa.
Nobody. I mean,
Or
my
whose birthday?
dog passed like a year ago. My sweet baby girl died in like January of
Okay.
2023.
And is there a birthday around this time of year
No.
or adoption date?
No, you know what? I don't think so.
Okay,
I
so
think
think-
it's just a lot of transition is happening in my life.
So think about the date, and it may, like that guy that took 8 months, it may come to you later.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And
Exactly.
it doesn't have to be a pet; it could be a human in spirit.
Oh wow.
hmm
So angel numbers are important.
They're just
of
signs
date-
from loved ones to let us know they're around.
Oh, that
That's the way I look at
explanation was so much better than Tressa's.
Obviously, I'm bad at explaining things. Are you
No,
kidding
no,
me?
there's
No,
different.
that's amazing.
There's different explanations for angel numbers, but that's the way that I look at it. It's just another way for spirit to show that they're around.
I like that so much.
Like, so for instance, yesterday, the first email I went to open was timed 5:55 a.m.
Hello.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Um, last week, I walked into my office in the morning, and the temperature was 33.3 degrees.
Get out of here.
Oh.
Yep.
Come on.
And so every day, Dolly finds a way to give me a number one way or the other. Today was 11:11.
Oh, yeah.
I just happened to look up at the clock, and it was 11:11.
Yep.
Okay, hey, Dolly.
Yes. 100%.
I love that so much. We do have another topic that I totally want to switch to
Sure.
before we go anywhere, but I believe
We're going to switch to break real quick. We'll be right back.
The Oregon Bigfoot Festival and Beyond is back and bigger than ever at Oaks Amusement Park, Saturday, June 29th. Meet Bigfoot hunters like Ronnie LeBlanc of Discovery Channel's Expedition Bigfoot and Paranormal Caught on Camera, and paranormal investigators like me, Dave Schrader of the Holzer Files and the Paranormal 60 podcast. Join us for a day of family fun celebrating Bigfoot, ghosts, UFOs, and everything beyond. You never know what you'll find. Don't miss the Oregon Bigfoot Festival and Beyond, Saturday, June 29th at Oaks Amusement Park. Get tickets today at OregonBigfootFest.com. OregonBigfootFest.com.
The Oregon Bigfoot Festival. Oregon Bigfoot Festival.
all right. Very excited for that. But we have a lot of comments, in our feed right now because everybody relates to this, and everybody has buddies that they miss and think about all the time. Speaking of buddies, though, you've got a book about how a ghost became a friend of yours.
Yes, it was
Kindred
actually
spirit.
spirit. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's called Kindred Spirits. So when I met my my now husband, Tom, somebody else came along for the ride. His name was Ed, and he was Tom's first partner. And he died in 1996. And that was 9 years before I met Tom. So I never knew him.
Yeah.
But
Third
Ed
wheel.
has come through in so many ways that he actually told me a lot of things about his life and Tom's life that I never knew. And then I would tell Tom, and he would confirm things, and he'd say, "Stop talking to Ed."
I was gonna say, is he giving you like cliff notes? Like, listen, he really likes this, or if you really want to push some buttons, mention this.
Yeah,
That's the best weapon.
yeah. So it's kind of funny that you can, as a medium, you can kind of get to know a spirit, even though you never met them in the physical, and get all of these confirmations. So one of the things Ed was able to do, he was able to help me bring peace to his dad, because there was a mystery around his death, and it was thought that he had died by suicide. But he helped solve that mystery, that he did not. After 15 years, I was able to bring his dad peace. So that was one thing, but he's done all kinds of things. He's proven he was there for our dogs that passed. He sent a look-alike to save us when we got lost in a forest in England.
A look-alike of him?
Okay, first
Yes,
of all,
of
forests
him.
in England are no joke. So
Yeah,
How
no.
he would have looked had he lived to be in his 50s. Yeah.
Oh my God.
oh, that's
Yeah, we were-
wild.
We were just shocked.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's a cool book. I mean, it's short, but I'm actually now writing Kindred Spirits 2, because he just talks to me all the time.
I
Love
like
that.
this. I like this so much. I enjoy the idea of the two of you just kind of sitting and chit chatting.
And you
And then
taking notes.
Tom's like,
And what?
hang on.
You guys, you're gonna stop.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
So you also do, we've spent some time talking about the pets, but with a team, you also do investigations that I know that you've written about,
Yes.
and some of your case files, and how do you guys do anything a little bit differently than like maybe other ghost teams, or is it all kind of, what does an investigation look like for you?
So Inspired Ghost Tracking started back in 2008. Margaret Ehrlich was the founder in Maryland, and she lived in a home that had a ghost when she was younger. So she was interested in the paranormal. She started a group, got everybody together. People learned technology, they had mediums, myself and Troy Klein was the other medium, and he still is. And so the most important thing for us was to treat ghosts with respect, because they're people. They were people,
Yes.
and they were animals. And you wouldn't go in and shout at somebody you don't know. You wouldn't
Challenge them.
You wouldn't insult somebody that you don't know.
I mean,
really,
depends.
You
I
don't
mean,
know
we-
us very well, because we do that all the time.
I would always tell people, you don't want to get an invisible roommate angry with you.
It's smart. But
But it's so fun.
yeah, do I really want the stuff that they have? Because I don't know. It might be worth it.
So we would go in, the technical team would go in first. So they would fill out a 2-hour questionnaire to make sure that they weren't, on using drugs or alcohol, or trying to pull one over on us. They went over an extensive questionnaire, an interview, and then the tech team would go in if we felt it necessary, and then mediums would go in afterward, because mediums go in last so we can help a ghost cross over.
Okay. Yeah, and they're going to get everything that maybe the evidence is there, and they want some confirmation from the mediums. I don't know.
Mhm.
Okay.
So there's been some crazy things. There's actually been a lot. We had, for instance, we had the case of what I call the case of the burned ghost. The case of the dismembered ghost, made whole, a double
Made
murder
whole?
ghost investigation. Yeah, all kinds of things.
So, I mean, that makes sense. Why would you be dismembered in the afterlife? But still, ugh.
Yeah, he was dismembered by a drug gang, and then when he appeared in a photograph between me and another investigator as an entire shadow figure, he was whole again. And that's in the
Kudos.
book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever turned anybody down for investigations?
I haven't, but the manager has. Yeah.
Okay.
We did go on one investigation that had 3 kids, and they were trying to pull one over on us, and we figured it out when we were there for 30 minutes. So it's very sad because everybody does these investigations for free. They take their Saturday or Sunday and do this and drive miles and miles and miles to do this. And I just think it's kind of mean for people to not.
What's the
respect
point
that.
of that? It's,
Yeah, it doesn't
I don't understand people.
doesn't really seem like a good time, but I'm not a child, apparently.
It's kind of crazy. But we have investigated a lot of places, and whether they're private homes or historic places. And then I've taken one of my other series of books is Ghosts on a Medium's Vacation, and when I go on vacation, my guard is down. I don't think of protecting myself, and because I just want to have a good time and enjoy the vacation.
Right.
And all the dead people start talking.
You're like, oh, you're here? Cool. I got a story for you and a mission or 3. Sit back and relax. I got some stuff. And you're like, I just want this Mai Tai. Can you not?
Yeah.
I know.
So how many times over like a vacation do you end up getting interrupted and then go ahead and pursue or help the spirit like cross over, or do you then try to kind of guard yourself off a little bit, like, oh, thanks man, I'm busy?
I try to help all of them, really. But it depends. I mean, because if you're on vacation, you're in a public place. Like we went to England and we were, touring castles, Tudor castles, and so forth. And there are always people behind you. So
You're on a tour and they're like, bro. And you're like,
Just give me a second.
yeah, who are you talking to? Look at that guy talking to the wall.
Now, have there been times where you've just been exceptionally scared, like a sort of terrifying event?
There was one, and it was in Scotland, which is in an upcoming book.
Oh.
But there was a very nasty man who used to hang out in the cemetery. People don't haunt places that they don't go to or aren't familiar with, but this guy used to go to the cemetery, and he was nasty, and he hid out in the back of the cemetery where the crypts were, and he made me very uncomfortable. There was one other place called the Cocky's Tavern in Maryland that we did an investigation in, and I felt very, very uncomfortable in there. And I knew there was a male ghost, and he was kind of a jerk. And so I left early. And when I got home, a couple of hours later, the manager called me and she said, Rob, I have to play this EVP that I got in that room that you said you felt uncomfortable with that male ghost. And she played it back and it said, kill Rob.
oh my, no, thank you. What?
Well, that goes beyond rude. That's
Yeah, so that was scary.
wow.
uncalled for. What are you
So they said, do
doing?
you want to go back? And I said, hell no.
Oh, are you serious?
No,
Why are
thank
you
you.
asking me this question? No. What?
Oh.
Yeah, that was frightening.
Now, as far as physical harm goes, is that a possibility?
Well, certainly if they get enough energy, they can touch you and push you and do things. But other than that, I don't see any physical harm. They can make you feel their pain of death, which I have. I felt the sword go through my shoulder in England. I've been shot in the throat, shot in the chest.
That's fine. Ugh.
But it's all
thank
ghosts
you.
just conveying how they died.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like what's the word? It's like clairsentience.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, no, thank you.
Yeah. No thanks.
Yeah.
That sounds terrible.
Does it?
Well, it's surprising. I remember being in, I can't remember where exactly it was where I felt. Oh, it was Hampton Court Palace. I felt, I felt the sword go through my shoulder, and I fell to the ground. And and Tom looks at me and said, "Are you having an attack or something?" And I said, "No, somebody just put a sword through my shoulder."
I was not just knighted, and it was painful. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
So I do have to explain myself when I have physical reactions. Like I fell against the wall in the Birdcage Theater when someone shot me through the throat.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So there were, yeah.
How long does that last, or are you able to sort of like shut it off, like when it starts to happen, like throw down some kind of, I don't know, mental suit of armor?
It's about a minute or two, and I just tell the ghost, "Hey, I get it. I know what happened to you.
I'm good.
Stop sharing."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard.
How do you differentiate between something like that and a spirit, ghost, whatever, just attacking you? Like you can be pushed, you can be shoved.
Oh.
How do you feel the difference? How do you know the difference between being attacked and an actual like psychic, clairsentient moment?
So it's really a feeling of intent, and it's just like, think of it this way, like being on a subway and somebody accidentally elbows you. They don't do it intentionally, but you know that
Right.
the intent wasn't there. That's the way I feel.
Okay.
I mean, I turn around and shove them either way.
Yeah, for
Intent or
sure.
no.
Get out of my
like,
space,
they'll understand my intent real quick, which is get out of here.
Buster. That's how she talks, like a nerd.
I do.
Don't mess with
rocks.
you, Jenny.
Kick
Watch
rocks.
your mouth, both of you.
So during this double murder ghost investigation, there were two women who were earthbound that were victims, and they made me feel as if I were pushed down a flight of stairs.
Oh.
And what they were doing is they were conveying what happened to them.
Yeah.
So, they weren't doing it to be mean. They were doing it to confirm their identities and what happened to them. So,
Yes. Yeah, it's intent.
Man, I don't know. I don't know how you guys do it. I have enough trouble dealing with
IRL.
like flesh. Yeah. Real life. It's admirable, it's incredible, and thank goodness for people like you out there, because you help the rest of us feel so much better. And obviously the crossing over of the ghosts and et cetera, but
Yeah.
it just seems rough.
Jenny, I'm
so
sure
so it's really crossing them over is really a two-part thing. Number one, it helps bring peace to the ghost, but number two, it brings peace to the living.
I feel,
So-
yes, and maybe I've said this way too many times, but I feel like a lot of it is for the living. The people that have passed over, they're fine. They're doing great. Best time of their existence.
Oh yeah.
They don't
Absolutely.
need us down here. Right.
Yeah. I like all the questions of like, I just want to make sure that there's someplace good. Yeah, they probably are. What I'm saying is like, no, thank you. I would like to see them. It would make me feel better.
Right. That's how I feel about funerals in general. Like, it's not for them, it's for us.
Yeah.
True. I'll tell you a quick funny story about my mother. My mother passed in 2013, and she was always very meticulous about her makeup and her dress and all that stuff. She was in her mid-80s, and during her wake, I was standing by her casket, and all of a sudden, I said, I kind of laughed, and I said, "I'm not doing that." And so my husband comes over and goes, "What's going on? What did she ask you to do?" And I said, "She told me to darken her eyebrows because they weren't dark enough." And he said, "Get away from there."
But I've got.
She said, "But this is the last time everybody will see me." And I'm like, "I'm sorry."
I would have loved to see the reaction on so many people's faces if that.
If
had been
you
a
were just
thing.
like,
"Yep, gotcha, Mom."
I wasn't
not a
going
problem.
Now, this is a little bit personal, I feel like, but sometimes your husband is gonna get tired of this, especially on the vacations. Does he ever just look at you and
Are
go,
you
"Tell them to
serious?"
stop"?
there. Oh, no, he ignores me.
Oh,
any
you
good
guys are
partner
married for
should.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been 18 years, and we keep a good relationship.
Oh, that's so wonderful.
So,
I'm gonna go get another drink. You do what you're doing. I'm fine.
exactly.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I like the idea of the walk into the room and then just, all right,
Backing
we'll see you
out.
later.
I'm
Come
good.
get me when you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's all good.
Oh, Rob, this is amazing. Tell everybody where to find you, where to find your books. You have, I think, 11 of them.
I do. Yeah.
11. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I have 3 series: Pets in the Afterlife, 1 through 4, a Ghost versus Spirits series of Earthbound Ghosts versus Spirits who crossed over, and all of that, and then Ghost on a Medium's Vacation, which I would love to talk to you guys about at some point. But
Yes.
and they can find me on robgutro.com. If you can't spell my name, just type in petspirits.com. It's easier. And my books are all on Amazon. They're paperback, they're ebook, and they're all audiobook too. And they're all under $10 because as self-published, I set the price to make them affordable.
I saw that, and I completely forgot to mention that they're audiobooks. So they're read by you, right?
No, they're read by AI, but I got to pick the voice that sounds
go.
similar to me.
Oh, I
Come
love this.
on.
So I love a good audiobook.
And nothing better.
Oh, seriously, though. So that is so exciting.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
has
We
been
gotta
a
have you
delight.
back. Yeah, because we gotta
Yeah,
hear about all the
absolutely.
travels and stuff. But
I would
everybody
love
else, yes, you have to. Everybody else, don't forget to find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and the Paranormal 60 Network. Like, comment, subscribe, and check out our merch on our website, monstersloungepodcast.com. Send us an email or comment. We love hearing from people. We'll see you next week, everybody.
Good night.